My name is Theresa Dunn, and I'm 28. I organize events in Little Rock, Arkansas, everything from weddings to conferences. But to my family, my work is dismissed as a hobby that could never measure up to their auto repair shop. One humid summer evening, everything snapped. At a family barbecue, my dad's voice boomed across the table. "In this house, either you pay the rent yourself or get out." His words hit hard, slicing through years of belittlement. My mom stayed silent, her eyes avoiding mine. My sister smirked as if she'd won some unspoken contest. I didn't yell, I didn't beg. Instead, I stood, grabbed my keys, and said, "Then I choose to leave." That night, rain poured as I dragged my suitcase down the street, heart pounding but resolute. I wasn't just leaving their house, I was walking away from their control. A few days later, my phone lit up. "The rent's due. Where are you?" They thought I'd crawl back. But my reply was sharp. "If anyone has to get out, it won't be me." That was just the beginning. What happened next turned everything upside down, and I'm still not sure how it unraveled so fast. Have you ever faced family pressure that pushed you to the breaking point? Drop your story in the comments or share where you're watching from. Let's talk about standing up for yourself, because there's more to this than you think. Looking back, the tension had been building for years. I'm Theresa Dunn, and growing up in Little Rock, Arkansas, I always felt like an outsider in my own family. My dad, Clarence Dunn, and my mom, Florence Dunn, ran a bakery and catering service, crafting cakes and meals for every major event in town. Their business was their pride, but it was crumbling, and they pinned their hopes on my older brother, Nathan Dunn. He was their golden child, charming clients and decorating desserts. Yet his reckless spending and late-night partying drained the shop's funds. Me, I was drawn to event planning, weddings, galas, anything that brought people together. But to Dad, my passion was childish, a waste compared to the bakery he believed Nathan would save. As a kid, I organized a school fair, coordinating booths and games to raise money for new library books. I was proud, but when I showed Dad my plans, he barely glanced up from his ledger. "Nice game, Theresa," he said. "But it's not serious work. Learn to bake like your brother." Nathan, hungover from another night out, smirked as he frosted a cake. Mom added, "It's cute, dear," her tone dripping with pity. They never questioned Nathan's late nights or the missing cash from the register, always blaming slow sales instead. In high school, I planned charity dances and holiday markets. I'd come home excited, only to hear Dad scoff, "Parties won't pay the bills." Mom would echo, "The bakery needs you, Theresa." Meanwhile, Nathan's gambling debts and bar tabs piled up, forcing Dad to cut suppliers. Customers complained about late orders, yet my parents praised Nathan's dedication. He'd jab, "Keep playing with your flyers," tossing a spatula aside. Their blind trust in him hurt, but I saved every penny from my gigs, determined to prove my worth. At college, I studied event management, hoping a degree would finally earn their respect. It didn't. Family dinners revolved around Nathan's supposed potential to save the bakery, even as he blew money on weekend trips. I'd share my projects like a fundraiser for a local shelter, only to hear Dad grunt, "Hope that keeps you afloat." Mom would add, "Your brother's got big plans." Never mind that his plans involved poker games and late-night clubs, leaving the bakery short-staffed. Their refusal to see his flaws crushed me. After college, I freelanced, planning local weddings and corporate events. At family gatherings, I'd share updates: a festival for the town square, a reception for a council member. But Dad would cut me off. "When are you joining the bakery?" Mom would sigh. "We're counting on Nathan to fix things." My brother, now managing catering, would smirk. "Some people aren't cut out for real work." The bakery was drowning in debt from his spending, yet they blamed me for abandoning them. It wasn't just their words, it was the injustice. Nathan could waste hundreds in a single night, and Dad still called him our future. I'd overhear Mom telling neighbors the bakery's struggles were due to market changes, never Nathan's recklessness. He'd stumble in late reeking of whiskey and they'd still trust him over me. I was the afterthought, the one who didn't get it. Their blind faith in him despite the chaos he caused only fueled my resolve. Those years of being sidelined lit a fire in me. I wasn't just fighting for a career, I was fighting to be seen. Leaving wasn't simply about escaping their expectations. It was about breaking free from a family that valued a reckless son over me. In my new apartment, I knew this was my chance to build something they couldn't ignore. In my new apartment, I threw myself into work. Little Rock's event planning scene was ruthless weddings, fundraisers, corporate gigs, and breaking in as a freelancer felt impossible. I had no family support, just a laptop and a phone that rarely rang. Worse, I was sending $300 a month to cover the old apartment's rent for Mom, Dad, and my brother. They never asked how I was managing, just expected the money while dismissing my career as a foolish whim. Their disdain cut deep, but I pushed through, determined to prove them wrong. The first days were exhausting. I cold-called businesses pitching to organize their conferences or charity events. Most brushed me off. "We use established planners," they'd say, or, worse, laugh. My savings were shrinking quickly as rent, utilities, and family payments drained what I had. I'd stare at my bank balance, wondering if Dad had been right all along. But giving up meant admitting defeat, and I refused to let them be proven right. Then I reconnected with Yvonne Blake, my college best friend. Over coffee, I spilled everything: how Mom and Dad belittled my work, how Nathan's smirks cut deep, how sending them money left me scraping by. Yvonne listened, then smiled. "You're Theresa Dunn, the one who made our campus events unforgettable. You'll make it." She worked at a local nonprofit and knew they needed someone for a community seminar. "I'll vouch for you," she said. "Show them what you can do." That seminar was my lifeline, small, maybe 50 attendees, but mine. I dove in, booking a venue, lining up speakers, and crafting programs. Every detail mattered: table setups, catering menus, even name tags. I worked late, surviving on late nights and sheer determination. Yvonne helped, suggesting budget vendors and checking my schedules, but the pressure was relentless. Sending money to my family meant cutting corners on my own life. Cheap groceries bills delayed, even losing internet some days. My family's disdain didn't let up. I'd hear gossip at the market, bakery clients whispering about that Dunn girl chasing silly dreams. My brother spread it, telling everyone I'd fail. Mom stayed quiet, and Dad never called. Their silence cut deeper, especially while I was sending them money I barely had. It felt like they were using me while betting on my collapse. Halfway through planning, disaster struck. The venue canceled, claiming a scheduling error. I scrambled to find a new space, exhausting my contacts. Yvonne stayed late calling venues while I reworked the budget. "You're tougher than they think," she said, passing me a soda. The financial strain was crushing. Every dollar sent to my family meant less for my business. I feared one misstep would prove their predictions right. The night before the seminar, I triple-checked everything: speaker notes, projector, setup, refreshment orders. My apartment was chaos, scattered with papers and lists. I barely slept, my mind wrestling with doubts and the burden of those payments. But as I finalized the plan, a flicker of pride emerged. This event was mine, built without their help despite their demands. The seminar wasn't flawless. A microphone failed and one speaker arrived late. But the attendees were engaged. The program flowed, and the nonprofit's director shook my hand, impressed. Yvonne grinned, whispering, "Told you you'd nail it." I felt a spark of victory, but the rent payments lingered in my mind. My family took my money without thanks, yet still called my work worthless. I was done letting their doubts define me. This seminar was just the beginning. I was building something real, something they couldn't touch. A week into my new life, my phone started buzzing. Mom's texts came first, blunt demands for $300 to cover the old apartment's rent. "You left us in a bind, Theresa," she wrote. Then my brother started calling, leaving voicemails laced with smugness. "Pay up or we'll have to deal with it," he said as if I owed them everything. I ignored them, letting the messages pile up. My focus was on a new project, a major wedding reception for a prominent local couple. It was the kind of job that could put my name on the map, and I wasn't about to let their drama derail me. The wedding project was a beast. The venue, a historic mansion in Little Rock, needed a complete overhaul: lounge areas, dining spaces, and a dance floor that radiated elegance. I spent hours sketching layouts, sourcing fabrics, and meeting with the couple to refine their vision. Yvonne, my rock, jumped in with ideas, connecting me with a local vendor for custom lighting. "This is your moment," she said, helping me sift through swatches. Her support kept me steady, but the stakes were high. A job this big could make or break my fledgling career. Mom's messages grew harsher. "You're being selfish," Theresa one read. "The family needs that money." I stared at the screen, my stomach twisting. She hadn't asked about my work, my life, nothing. It was all about their boutique, their needs. Nathan's calls escalated, his tone dripping with scorn. "You think you're above us now?" he sneered in one voicemail. "Pay what you owe or you'll regret it." I deleted each message, refusing to let their guilt trips pull me back. The project consumed me as I juggled client demands, tight deadlines, and a budget that felt like a noose. One supplier quoted double for velvet drapes, forcing me to hunt for alternatives. Another sent the wrong chairs, throwing my seating plan into chaos. Yvonne stayed up with me, calling vendors while I redrew layouts. "They don't get to define you," she said, passing me a coffee. Her words fueled me, but the pressure was relentless. Every misstep felt like proof. My family was right that I'd never make it. The mansion's transformation was taking shape: soft lighting, sleek furniture, a vibe that felt both timeless and fresh. But the family's demands kept coming. Mom sent another text claiming the boutique was struggling because of my irresponsibility. Nathan called again, his voice cold. "You're embarrassing us," he said. "Pay up or we'll spread the word about your little stunt." I clenched my jaw, ignoring them. Their boutique was doing fine. Dad bragged about it constantly. This was about control, not money. I threw myself deeper into the project. The couple loved my mock-ups but wanted last-minute changes: more floral accents, a new bar setup. I scrambled to adjust, working late into the night. Yvonne helped source extra decor, even building a budget spreadsheet. "You're killing it," she said, but I could still feel the weight of my family's words. Their accusations echoed: selfish, irresponsible, a disappointment. I pushed them out, focusing on the venue's details. Every cushion, every light, every inch had to be perfect. The day before the wedding, I walked through the mansion, checking every corner. The space was stunning, elegant, warm, exactly what the couple wanted. But my phone kept buzzing. Mom's latest message read, "You're tearing this family apart." Nathan's voicemail was worse. "Keep this up and you'll be sorry." I shut off my phone, my hands shaking. This wasn't just about rent, it was about keeping me in line, making me feel small. Standing in the transformed venue, I felt a surge of defiance. I'd built this without them. Their demands, their taunts, they couldn't touch what I was creating. Yvonne clapped me on the shoulder, grinning. "This is you, Theresa. They can't take that away." The wedding was tomorrow, and I was ready. My family could keep their boutique and their grudges. I was done bending to their will. One rainy afternoon, a knock at my door broke the silence. I opened it to find Dad standing there, his face stern under a dripping umbrella. My stomach dropped. Clarence Dunn wasn't one for casual visits. He stepped inside without asking, his boots tracking mud across the floor. "We need to talk, Theresa," he said, his voice heavy with authority. I braced myself, knowing this wasn't a friendly call. He didn't waste time. "You owe us $300 for the old apartment's rent," he said, crossing his arms. "And you need to come back to the bakery. This event planning nonsense won't last." His words echoed the same dismissal I'd grown up with. I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to shrink under his glare. "I'm not coming back," I said, steady. "And I don't owe you anything." Dad's eyes narrowed. "You're being selfish," he snapped. "The bakery's struggling because you left us high and dry. Nathan's working overtime to cover for you." I almost laughed. Their catering business was booming. Mom bragged about it at every church gathering. This wasn't about money, it was about control, about pulling me back into a life I'd already rejected. "I've paid my share," I said. "I'm done." He paced my small living room, glancing at the event planning notes scattered on the table. "You think this will make you somebody?" he scoffed. "You're wasting your time." His voice cut deep, but I stood my ground. "I'm building my own life," I said. "You don't get to decide what it's worth." He stopped, jaw tight. "You'll regret this, Theresa," he said coldly. "You're tearing this family apart." I wanted to scream to list every time he and Mom sidelined me for Nathan, every time they dismissed my dreams. Instead, I pointed to the door. "I'm not the one tearing us apart," I said. "You can leave." He hesitated, then stormed out, slamming the door behind him. I locked it, my hands trembling as his threats echoed in my head. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I fooling myself? I called Yvonne, my voice breaking as I told her what happened. She came over, her presence a steady anchor. "You did the right thing," she said, handing me a mug of tea. "He's trying to guilt you into giving up. Don't let him." I nodded, though the weight of his visit lingered. Yvonne leaned forward. "You're not that kid they pushed around anymore. You're holding your own out here." She was right. My first seminar had been a success, and I was already pitching for bigger events, a corporate retreat, a charity gala. But Dad's visit had rattled me. I kept picturing his face, the way he looked at my work like it was worthless. Yvonne saw it. "He doesn't get to define you," she said. "You're proving them wrong every day." Her words reignited something in me, a resolve to keep pushing no matter what. That afternoon, I dove back into work. I had a pitch meeting the next day for a local festival, a chance to show what I could do on a bigger stage. I spent hours refining my proposal, picking themes, and mapping logistics. Dad's accusations replayed in my mind, selfish, wasteful, but I pushed them aside. Yvonne stayed brainstorming layout ideas beside me. "This is you taking charge," she said, grinning as we sketched a stage setup. By evening, my apartment was a whirlwind of notes and plans. For the first time all day, I felt clarity. Dad could demand all he wanted, but I wasn't going back. His bakery, Mom's silence, Nathan's smirks. They didn't own me. I was carving my own path, one event at a time. Yvonne clapped me on the shoulder. "You're unstoppable, Theresa." I smiled lighter than I had in years. My family could keep their demands and their doubts. I was done letting them hold me back. Their demands didn't stop after Dad's visit. If anything, my family doubled down, desperate to pull me back into their failing bakery. I was knee-deep in planning a corporate retreat, my biggest gig yet, when a letter arrived from Mom. The words landed like a punch. Florence Dunn was threatening to sue me for unpaid rent on the old apartment, $300 they claimed I still owed. It was nonsense. I'd sent money for months, even when it left me broke. The letter's cold accusation of abandoning my responsibilities made my blood boil. They weren't after rent, they wanted control. Then it got worse. That morning, I received a call from the nonprofit director who had hired me for the seminar. Her voice was tense. "Your dad contacted us," she said. "He claims you're unreliable and insists we hire their catering service instead." Clarence Dunn had gone behind my back, trying to sabotage my reputation with the very people who gave me my first break. My grip tightened on the phone, my heart pounding. This wasn't about money, it was personal. My success threatened their control. I refused to let them win. I called the director back, keeping my voice steady. "I'm sorry for the confusion," I said. "My work speaks for itself." I offered to meet in person, bringing my portfolio and client testimonials. She agreed, and we spent an hour reviewing my plans for their upcoming community health fair. I presented detailed schedules, vendor lists, and contingency plans. By the end, she was nodding. "We're sticking with you," she said. Relief washed over me. But the attacks kept coming. Later, Yvonne called, her voice tight. "Your mom's been talking to my boss," she said. "She's pushing the bakery's catering for our gala." I was stunned. Mom was targeting my best friend's workplace, trying to undermine me where I was finally gaining ground. Yvonne was furious. "They're scared you're outshining them," she said. "Keep pushing, you're better than this." I took her advice to heart. That week, I doubled my efforts. I met with the retreat's organizers, a local tech company, and pitched an outdoor team-building event with live music and interactive workshops. I refined every detail: stage layouts, catering menus, parking logistics. They loved it, signing a $5,000 contract. It was my biggest win yet, proof that I was making it on my own. To safeguard my reputation, I strengthened ties before my family could interfere. I invited the health fair team for coffee, brainstorming their next fundraiser. I emailed past clients thanking them and offering discounts for future events. Each meeting, each call was another brick in the wall protecting my career. My family could send letters and make calls, but they couldn't touch the trust I'd built. The stress, however, was relentless. At night, I stared at Mom's letter, her accusations burning in my mind. I wanted to call to shout about the unfairness, how they ignored Nathan's reckless spending, how they took my money and still called me a failure. Instead, I channeled the anger into work. Yvonne came over, helping me draft vendor emails. "They're losing their grip," she said, grinning as we finalized a lighting contract. "You're untouchable now." By the week's end, I had locked in 2 more gigs, a wedding and a charity auction. My calendar was filling, my name spreading through Little Rock's event scene. The nonprofit director even referred me to another group, praising my professionalism. My family's sabotage had backfired. It only pushed me to fight harder, to prove I didn't need them. Their bakery might be collapsing under Nathan's mistakes, but I was done carrying their weight. I was building my own future, one they couldn't tear down. Then they took it public. I was finalizing plans for a charity auction when Yvonne texted me a screenshot that made my stomach drop. On a local Little Rock Facebook group, Mom had posted a scathing rant. Clarence Dunn accused me of abandoning the family bakery, claiming I'd left them in debt and refused to pay hundreds of dollars in rent for the old apartment. She painted me as selfish, a daughter who turned her back on her struggling parents. Nathan piled on with a comment: "Some people think they're too good for family." The post had dozens of likes and shares, with neighbors calling me ungrateful. My family wasn't just fighting me, they were dragging my name through the mud. I stared at the screen, my pulse racing. This wasn't just a private feud anymore. It was a public attack meant to shame me into submission. Dad's silence in the comments said it all. He likely approved. Their bakery was failing, and instead of facing Nathan's reckless spending, they were blaming me for chasing my dreams. I wanted to scream, but I knew anger would only feed their narrative. So I fought back with facts. I drafted a response in the same group, keeping my tone calm but firm. "I've always supported my family, even when it meant sacrificing my own stability. I've built my career as an event planner to serve this community, not to tear anyone down." I listed my recent projects: the seminar, the corporate retreat, the upcoming auction, showing the work I had done to earn trust in Little Rock. When I hit post, my hands trembled, unsure if I'd just made things worse. The response was overwhelming. Clients I had worked with jumped in to defend me. The nonprofit director from the seminar wrote, "Theresa's professionalism made our event a success." The tech company I'd planned the retreat for added, "She's reliable and talented. Little Rock is lucky to have her." Even strangers criticized my family's attack. "Family business doesn't justify this," one commented. By evening, the thread had hundreds of replies, most of them supporting me. For the first time, I felt the community saw me for who I was, not who my family claimed I was. Yvonne came over, eyes wide, as she scrolled through the thread. "You flipped their game," she said with a grin. "They thought they'd bury you, but you're shining." She helped me draft thank you notes to supporters, reminding me to focus on the positive. Still, Mom's words stung. I had spent years trying to please them, even sending money I couldn't spare only to be branded a traitor online. Nathan's jab cut the deepest. He of all people was the one running the bakery into the ground, yet they paraded him as their savior. I drowned it out with work. The auction was days away and I was determined to make it flawless. I met with organizers, fine-tuning every detail: item displays, lighting, guest flow. They were thrilled and their trust became a shield against my family's noise. I spent late nights perfecting the setup, fueled by the community's support and my own determination. My family could post whatever they wanted, I wasn't backing down. The auction night was a triumph. The venue glowed, the bidding was lively, and the charity raised thousands. Guests raved about the seamless execution, and several asked for my card. Yvonne nudged me, whispering, "You're unstoppable." As we packed up, I checked my phone. The Facebook group was still buzzing support for me, drowning out Mom's rant. A local business owner had even messaged me, offering a contract for a festival. Their public stunt had backfired. The community's faith in me proved my work mattered more than their lies. I wasn't just surviving their attacks. I was thriving, building a reputation they couldn't touch. The event expo changed everything. By fall, Little Rock's annual expo was the biggest stage for local planners, and I was determined to leave my mark. I'd secured a prime booth to showcase my work, past projects like the charity auction and corporate retreat, plus mock-ups for future festivals. My setup gleamed with vibrant displays, sample schedules, and glowing testimonials. Yvonne helped polish every detail, from sleek brochures to a looping highlight reel. I was ready to prove I belonged in this industry, no matter what my family thought. Across the convention center, Mom and Dad had their bakery booth. Their display was bare, stale samples and outdated flyers, a shadow among the polished setups nearby. Nathan, supposedly pitching their catering, was nowhere to be found. Rumors at the market had already spread the bakery was bleeding. Money, orders were late, customers were leaving. Their reputation was collapsing, and I knew why. My brother's reckless spending had drained the business, yet Mom and Dad still propped him up as their star. I focused on my booth, refusing to let their decline drag me down. The expo buzzed with energy. Crowds swarmed my booth, drawn by the buzz from my recent successes. A wedding planner praised my retreat design and suggested a collaboration. A city official stopped by, interested in hiring me for a holiday fair. I handed out business cards, my confidence soaring. Meanwhile, their booth sat nearly empty, save for the occasional passerby. I overheard a vendor mutter, "The Dunns used to be reliable. What happened?" It stung, but I stayed focused. My work spoke louder than their name ever could. That morning, I gave a presentation on event logistics to a packed room. I shared strategies for managing vendors and handling last-minute crises, drawing on real experience. The audience leaned in, asking questions and jotting notes. Afterward, several organizers approached me, eager to book my services. From the back, Yvonne flashed a thumbs up. Through the hall's glass walls, I could see my family's booth, silent, deserted. Their downfall wasn't my doing, but after years of being dismissed, I couldn't summon sympathy. By midday, the contrast was undeniable. My booth was alive with activity while theirs looked abandoned. A local reporter interviewed me for a feature on rising planners, calling my work innovative. I caught Mom watching, her face tight with resentment. Dad stood stiffly beside her, arms crossed, avoiding my gaze. Nathan finally stumbled in late and disheveled, offering excuses to an irritated client. Their bakery was collapsing under his mismanagement, and the expo made it plain for all to see. I could have gloated, but I didn't. Their collapse wasn't my victory. My success was. That evening, I signed 3 new contracts, including the city's winter festival. My name was everywhere while their bakery was becoming a cautionary tale. That's when I knew I was finished with them. I'd spent years chasing their approval, sending money, enduring their scorn. No more. I blocked their numbers and deleted their messages. I wasn't their scapegoat or their savior. I was free. Looking back, I see the cost of their expectations. Mom and Dad gambled everything on Nathan ignoring his flaws and dismissing my potential. Their need to control me, to keep me in their shadow, broke our family. But it also taught me something vital. Living for yourself matters more than living for their approval. Their pressure pushed me away, but it also drove me to build something real. To anyone carrying someone else's weight, I'd say, this: choose yourself. The people who demand loyalty at the expense of your dreams don't deserve it. I found my place in Little Rock not as their daughter, but as Theresa Dunn, the planner who built her own path.